All right, oh, there it goes. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to, I don't know, is this our fourth or fifth meeting? I'm not sure. I've lost count. But thank you all for joining us on this, where I'm at, this rainy Friday and cold. I'm not sure where that beautiful weather went, but hopefully it'll come back for our weekend. So I just want to welcome everybody. If you are able to, please turn your camera on. We understand that you may not be able to, but we would love to see your faces. And we'll go ahead and get started. So just some quick reminders of your mic mindfulness, making sure that we're staying muted unless you're speaking. That way we don't have any interruptions. This is a recorded session. When this is done and it's posted, feel free to share this with people in your programs that you feel like might benefit from watching. Obviously, like I said, if you can turn your video on, that would be great. And then take a break as needed. We won't be taking a break, but if you need a break, feel free to walk away for a few minutes and then come back to us. So here are our team norms, just quick reminders again. We welcome multiple viewpoints, we participate respectfully, and we honor our time together. And I'm excited about today's topic, so I think you all will really enjoy it. And I look forward to hearing our speakers speak today. So we're going to get some updates and a welcome from our OSIL team. Then we're going to learn more about family engagement strategies, and then we'll have time to ask questions, share thinking, and do some closing up then. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Thomas Williams to give a partnership update.
All right, thank you so much, Jen, and good morning, everyone. It's so great to be in community with you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being a part of this professional learning community where we have an opportunity to listen to speakers to build our practices within our districts. So I do have three updates from the Department of Education, Office of Special Education and Early Learning. So I do want to update everyone on the no-cost extension. So at this time, we do not have any details in regards to that extension. Usually, and I do emphasize on usually, that no-cost extension is provided 6 months prior to the end of the grant. Okay, so we're hopeful that we receive that no-cost extension, but do know that we are in communication with the Governor's Office of Early Childhood around the no-cost extension. They are aware, and once we learn more, we will definitely share the information with each of you. My next update is around NKU. So as you know, Northern Kentucky University, they are evaluating the effectiveness of this preschool program or this preschool grant. And so we're working very closely with Dr. Gilbert and Dr. Alverson. And so they will be reaching out to you in regards to surveys. And so we really strongly encourage each of you to contribute as much as you can, because again, they are evaluating the program, and we need you all's input in regards to the program and also in regards to any data that we may need to submit to the federal government. Lastly, I do want to, this is a bittersweet update, and this is around we have Bill Buchanan and Jen Hagan, who has been working diligently with you, throughout this grant. They've done a wonderful job with moving this grant forward and moving the grants and this program forward. But Bill Buchanan will be retiring in a couple of weeks, I believe, Bill. In a couple of weeks, he will be retiring, moving on to his next chapter. We're very, very proud of him and all the work that he's done with the Kentucky Department of Education, within our office, within the agency, throughout the country, and also with this grant. And so he's moving on. And so we also have Jennifer Hagan. Ms. Jennifer Hagan has taken a wonderful opportunity in the district where she'll be leading a preschool program. So we're very happy about her and her transition from the department and all the work that she's done with this grant and also with the quality rating system. As you all know, if you don't, Jen Hagan is our state quality person. She led the relaunch of our All Stars program, and she's done a wonderful job. And we're so proud of her and all the things that she'll do moving forward. So we do have two other staff members that will be taking the lead with the grants and with this program. So we have Stephanie Ernst, who's a pyramid specialist within the early learning unit. And we also have Tyler, and I believe Tyler is on the call with us. Tyler, he will be supporting you all in regards to this grant with this program. And so we'll send out a more formal email. We'll provide their contact information if needed, because they will serve as the point of contact, and that will be Stephanie and Tyler. So again, congratulations to Bill and to Jen Hagan, Bill Buchanan and Jennifer Hagan, and we're welcoming Tyler and Stephanie into this community. And so I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to see, maybe put them, hopefully you all don't get upset with me, but to unmute, to maybe say a few words to our grantees.
Thank you, Thomas. And thank you, grantees. Thank you, Preschool Quality Partnership Grant, child care providers, school districts, everything that you're doing for Kentucky's children and families. It's just been a wonderful opportunity. I deeply appreciate you, everything that you're doing, and as well as the opportunity through the department to provide you with leadership, service, and support. I'm excited about the future. As always, feel free to reach out if I can help with anything.
And I have the same sentiments. I've enjoyed my time with you all during these meetings. They've been beneficial to me, and I hope they've been beneficial to you all. And I hope that I see you all still around in my new role. So I appreciate each and every one of you all. And I know you'll love Tyler and you'll love Stephanie. A lot of you probably know Stephanie. If you don't know Tyler, you're going to learn to love him because he's great.
So, Tyler, did you want to just hop off for a few seconds just to say hello? I had to catch you off guard, but
yeah, hello everyone. I am super excited to take on this role and to work with everyone. I see a few familiar faces so far, but I will get to know all of you very well in the coming future. So
perfect. Thank you all so much. And we also have Stephanie. So the next time we meet, she'll be on the call, but we'll do again a more formal email providing contact information to those Tyler and Stephanie. So I think that's all that I have. So Jen, I will turn it back over to you. Thank you all.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for those updates. All right, so I'm excited to introduce our guest speaker today. So we're going to be talking about family and school partnerships in special education. And we have the wonderful Miss Marcy Bridges. She is an exceptional children consultant in OSIL. And so Marcy, I'm going to let you take it away.
All right. Thanks, Jen. And congratulations. I didn't know about your new position. So of course I knew about Bill, but I didn't know that you were leaving us too. So very bittersweet. I agree, Thomas, completely. Hi, everybody. As Jen said, I'm Marcy Bridges. I am an exceptional children consultant within OSIL. My expertise is more under the IDEA K-12, but I'm really excited to share some family and parent engagement stuff with you this morning. So I'm honored that you all in preschool requested that I present today. So thank you for that. So I'm going to steal the screen and we'll start the presentation. And if at any point it's not large enough or anything like that, y'all just please let me know and I will do what I can to fix that for you. Okay, so there's my photo. That's just me. I will have contact information at the end of the presentation, though, if you should need anything as far as the IDEA is concerned or any other parent engagement stuff as well. So first, let's talk about family engagement as a whole. family engagement is part of the ESSA. And so the QR code there will take you to, part of the IDEA, part of the Code of Federal Regulations. But essentially, a program must integrate parent and family engagement strategies into all systems and all programs that can help support the family well-being and promote the child's learning and development. And we know that family engagement is a huge piece of that from birth. And so you all, as early childhood folks, early childhood educators, preschool coordinators, you have a really, really big hand in that, not just for the child, but for the family as a whole. And so that's why we wanted to discuss some of these things with you all today. Programs are encouraged to develop innovative two-generation approaches that address prevalent needs of families across their program that may leverage community partnerships or other funding sources. And we know also in Kentucky, those can be very regional and very area specific. So as we go through these resources and different things today, please think about your region, think about your area and what you all have available for your families. So there are 6 cornerstones of family engagement: to intentionally involve parents in learning and development, to develop trustful, respectful relationships with two-way communication. So that two-way piece is really, really important. Try to think about not only, just putting information out there for parents, but then how can they engage in two-way communication with you? How can they contact you back? Do you have your information on your website? Do they know how to get a hold of you? Is your photo on the website? Do they know what you look like? So that if they see you at a school event or a preschool event, do they know who you are and that they can approach you and speak with you about a concern or even just to share some great news or information? The third cornerstone is to collaborate to determine supports for the safety, the health, and economic stability of your families. Provide ways for parents to be employees or volunteers within your program. So think about, again, very regional specific, but what do you have available in your area that parents could help with? Do you have parents or other family members who, their place of employment or something that they are involved in with your community? Could that be something that you could have them come speak at a monthly event or a quarterly event that you're putting on, and they can help share information about something within your community that other families might benefit from? Another cornerstone is to provide a safe environment using the family's preferred language. So another really large piece there to think about the languages that are prevalent within your communities. And then the last one is to implement procedures for the staff to link the classroom with the home and with your community. So Dr. Karen Mapp, she's a leading researcher with family engagement. She presents all over the world. She is on staff at Harvard University, and she and her team have developed this definition of family engagement. Family engagement is a full, equal, and equitable partnership among families, educators, and community partners to promote children's learning and development from birth through college and career. So we're going to go into a breakout session here in just a moment. Jen's going to help facilitate that for me. So thank you, Jen. When we do our breakout session, what I want you all to think about is this definition. So I've got it here on the screen. Think about the definition and what words in the definition kind of ring true for you. Is there anything that just resonates with you? Anything maybe that you hadn't thought about? Just anything that kind of, was an aha or stood out for you. So as we move into breakout sessions, think about this definition. If you need to scratch it down real quick, you can do that. We'll keep it up here on the screen for just another minute or two. So again, to read it, family engagement is a full, equal, and equitable partnership among families, educators, and community partners, to promote children's learning and development from birth through college and career. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing so that we can head into those breakout rooms. And then we'll come back together and I'll see if anybody wants to share what was discussed in their group. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Jen, do you think we've got everyone?
Yep, looks like it.
Okay, awesome. Did anybody have some great conversation? Any aha moments to share, or anything about the definition that, rang true for you, or things that you thought, well, we're already doing that in our district and or in your school within your early childhood center that you'd like to share with us? Please.
I just mentioned
So
in
our group,
that, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say our group had pointed out, I didn't even really notice that aspect of it, but it was a good point that it brings in the community aspect into the parent and family involvement now. And that was really a great idea.
Yeah, very true. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah. Shelby.
Our group just spoke about, I just mentioned that the children's learning, like birth through college, when we're running our family events during the school day, our student workers are involved in that process. They're down there with our families. So sometimes they come back and work for us as IA. Sometimes they want to go to school to be a preschool teacher. So they're in that like teaching and learning pathway. And sometimes someone mentioned that they go out and work in the community if they don't work here in another daycare center. So just like parents become familiar with them, we become familiar with them. And, so that's just a great aspect from that birth through college, like having your littles with your bigs, and them gaining that experience.
Yeah, I love that. And that's good for everyone, right? It's not just good experience for those who are in college or thinking about it even. It's great for the kids. And then they might run into Miss Sally at the grocery store, or they saw Miss Kirsten at, at the movie, or so those connections are super, super important. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Okay, we'll get back to our PowerPoint. Right. So now that we have kind of looked at the definition, let's break it down just a little bit more. So what actually is family engagement? So remember, family engagement is that two-way partnership. So again, bringing in that two-way communication between the schools and the families, where families are involved in a meaningful way. So they have to be, they have to be meaningfully engaged in their child's education. And for students with disabilities, that also brings in an extra layer, because parent engagement needs to include the parent's capacity to meaningfully participate in what is going on. And so we know sometimes with our families, we have generations of disabilities, varying levels of disabilities. And so when you're thinking about the family engagement, think also about, do mom and dad have a disability? Does grandma, who is raising this child, do they maybe have a learning disability? Do I need to provide materials in a different way? Do I need to give any kind of visuals? Do I have even now great grandparents raising a child? And so maybe they're not great with technology. They're not even comfortable with it, let alone being fantastic at it. So are there ways that you can provide materials or provide ways to contact you that are not technology reliant? So just some things to think about. So again, considering your communication, making sure that it is meaningful, making sure it is two-way. Is it ongoing? So it's not just it's not just okay, it's August, here's my picture, here's my contact information, and then they never hear from you again the entire rest of the school year. So try to keep that communication ongoing. Are we only communicating when things are not working? So my background, as I kind of shared when we started, is K-12. I was actually a high school teacher for several years, and it was really easy. I was in an MSD classroom for many years, so moderate and severe disabilities. It was always really easy to share, when things weren't going well, to call a parent and say, well, we had an incident today, or to email and let them know, hey, we had a 4-minute meltdown or whatever. But are you also communicating when things are going well? So sharing that good news, sharing those small pats on the back. Everybody needs to hear that, not just children, but families do too. So think about that. Again, the family's preferred mode of communication. Do you have different languages within your region that aren't always being reached because you're sharing everything in English? Do you need visuals to support? Do you have students and families who use ASL, who use sign language? That might be something that you've never thought of, but it may be something that can help you reach some of your families. Who are you not hearing from? Are there certain families or clusters of your area that you kind of reflect and think, we never hear from the kids who feed into that certain elementary school? Why are you not hearing from them? Try to think about some of your data or again, just reflection and see if you can figure out some of those pieces. And then is there any way that we here at the Department of Education can support you with some of that? So please reach out if that's the case. And then finally, do families know how to contact you? I know that this specifies the dose, but as a coordinator or even as a teacher, as an educator, is your name on the website? Is it fairly easy to find? Do they have a way to get a hold of you? Hopefully during business hours, but we know how that goes. So just, is there a way to open that line of two-way communication? Okay, so let's talk about those words school facilitated for just a moment. School facilitated means the specific responsibilities that schools and childhood education centers have in facilitating family engagement and ensuring that families are supported through equitable practices, policies, and programs. So again, school facilitated, schools have a hand in that. It can't just be, well, I'll just wait for the parents to get a hold of me. They'll let me know if something's going on. They will contact me if there's something they need to share. This needs to be school driven and school facilitated. The IDEA outlines the school's responsibility in facilitating meaningful engagement with parents of students who have IEPs. So let's talk about conflict prevention a little bit. We know that having true family engagement and participation can help in a myriad of ways. Students who have meaningful engagement with their families, they come to school more often. So your absentee rate is not, it's not through the roof because their families are engaged. So therefore the students are engaged. It will then lead to better grades when they do get into the K-12 system. Better grades can lead to better opportunities. So having families engaged really can be a way to, help the students propel and proceed through life in really, really fantastic ways. It also can really help with conflict prevention. So I love this quote that we pulled from, that I pulled from CADRE, the Center for Appropriate Dispute Resolution in Special Education. Perhaps the best and the easiest way to manage conflict is to prevent it in the first place. Communication is a huge piece of this. In my role here at the department, I get a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails from both district and school personnel, as well as from parents. And most of the time, it can boil down to either a lack of communication or a miscommunication. And so again, having that two-way, that true two-way communication can go so far, and it can really help prevent a lot of conflict. Also, there's a shift in mindset a little bit. So think about you're doing things with your families. You're doing things with your students, not for your families and for your students. Think about your protocols, your procedures. Do those reflect and embrace that equitable approach? Do you have that partnership going on? Think about, engagement gaps. Could you put out a survey and ask just a few questions? It could even be a verbal thing at an event, like we discussed earlier. You have an event to a getting to know your teacher kind of thing. Ask a question or two about what do you envision for this school year? What do you want for your child this school year? And just, ask a few questions, do a focus group, have conversations. That can provide really, really valuable data for you to continue with this new shift in mindset I'm doing these things with my families, with my community, with all of our partners. I'm not doing it for the kids or for the families. So that kind of brings up what is involvement versus engagement, because there is a little bit of a difference. And again, this comes from Dr. Karen Mapp and her partners. So involvement is more of an individual thing. It kind of focuses on individual responsibility, usually from you all at the child care center or at the school. That you're, yes, I'm involving my families. I'm putting information out there. I have one-way communication. There is some space for listening, but I don't really do anything with what I hear from my families. So that's involvement. When you think about engagement, it focuses more on that collective responsibility and that two-way communication. You acknowledge and you value what the family has brought to the table. And when they tell you, my student, my child needs XYZ, you honor that and you try to incorporate that into their education. It focuses on collaboration. And then this relationship is much more transformative as opposed to transactional, which is usually what is part of the involvement piece. And neither of these is right or wrong. Again, it's just kind of a shift in mindset. So if you're more in the involvement space, think about how can we move to a little bit more of that engagement. Okay, we're going to talk about indicator 8 for a little bit. And I know that for some of you, this doesn't, it's not a responsibility of yours. And please don't think that we're saying, by the way, this is coming. It's not, but it is something we wanted you to have a little bit of knowledge of. And sometimes you have, children in your daycare centers, in your learning facilities that have older students in the families who might have IEPs. And so sometimes, check in backpacks and see, hey, is the indicator 8 survey in there? Is the letter in there? So we just wanted you to have a little bit of a working knowledge about this. Indicator 8 is one of the 18 indicators that we as a state then report to the Office of Special Education Programs at the federal level. This indicator specifically measures the percentage of parents and families of children who are receiving special education services who say, yes, the school involved me in a meaningful way. There was a partnership, and I feel like, the school is doing what they can to facilitate that. So the survey itself, we have a 6-month window that we use from January to June of each calendar year. We provide online surveys through a QR code and a link that we send out to all the directors of special education. And I know that we recently have put it up on the RTC coordinator website for you all through the SharePoint, I think it was. Tammy Rutherford, who works with us here in the early learning unit, she has developed some of that. And so that's available online. We also, there are paper copies, and those come in 6 different languages. We provide them in Amish, Arabic, English, Somali, Spanish, and Swahili. It consists of 12 questions. Most of those are multiple choice, but there's a couple with a drop-down menu, and there's some that also have a short answer option. So for 2025, and there's a QR code we'll talk about here in just a second. So that survey opened January 15th. It will close June 30th of this year. And again, there's the paper survey copies, and the parent letter is in those same 6 languages. The QR code will take you to the website for KIPSO. So that's the Kentucky Post-School Outcomes website. There are partners with University of Kentucky with the Human Development Institute. And that is where the survey kind of lives, is on their website. We partner with them to do that, and they do lots of good data collection for us. They provide a report every year. So that's where that QR code will take you if you are interested. So as far as questions about the survey itself, if you've got questions about the survey, the languages, if you just kind of need an update on, hey, how are my numbers looking? You can get a hold of me or Tony, who is our partner at HDI out of University of Kentucky. So our contact information is there. Okay. Early learning and family engagement. So how does all of this fit together? When you're thinking about that transition from, from part C to part B, from preschool to K-12, it needs to be as seamless as possible. Both part C and part B staff should remember it's not only the child who's transitioning into kindergarten, it's the whole family. And so, if you have a child with an IEP who is transitioning, and it's the first child to do this within the family, that there's a lot of anxiety there, for not just for the child, but for the family. How's this going to look? What if my kid doesn't do well in kindergarten? What if it's a whole new staff, a whole new building, a whole new everything? So what can you do to help make that transition for the entire family as seamless and as easy as possible? So we've got steps with that transition. The first step is the transition conference. This, I will admit, this is a part of this is I don't know as well. And so Bill or Jen or Tyler, if any of want to jump in, please feel free. Then there is the referral to lead to an IEP for K-12 education. Okay, yeah, I said that, K-12 education, sorry, with an ARC meeting. So that's usually step 2. Step 3 is that evaluation process. Step 4 is determining eligibility. All of this, of course, is done through the ARC, the Admissions and Release Committee, to see, does the child continue, do they have a disability? Will it carry over into K-12? And if so, what will that look like? What will their eligibility category be? Step 5 is to develop the IEP itself. Step 6, think about the placement in the least restrictive environment. Are we looking at a student who can be in full day kindergarten but just needs some extra support? Is it a student who, their needs are strong enough that they need an MSD classroom right from the start? Do they need nursing services? Do we have speech, OT, and PT involved? All of those different pieces. And then, of course, to implement the IEP itself and do progress monitoring, continue on through that as the IEP year progresses.
Thank you, Marcy. Just to clarify, this
Please,
transition, yes. Just to clarify, this transition, this is the transition that occurs between early intervention services for KEIS, formerly known as First Steps, right, to preschool.
Thank you.
And you described it right. These are the transition steps involved for, again, young children moving from a more clinical setting and First Steps to a more developmental, academic, if you will, focus of the state-funded preschool program for students with disabilities, preschoolers with disabilities.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Again, not my area of expertise, so I appreciate you, Bill. Thank you. All right, we'll do another quick breakout. So as you think about planning, each of these steps requires quite a bit of planning. And most of them are going to require some early planning. So when we go into breakout rooms, this is what I would like for you to think about and discuss. The importance of early planning for this transition. If any of you have experiences that you can share to help others who maybe have not experienced this yet, it's your first year or you're kind of facing some of these things for the first time. If any of you do have experience with it, share, what can help others as far as when should I start this? How early are we talking about with early planning? Do I need to start things 3 months in advance, 6 weeks in advance? Should I know in August which of my kids are going to be transitioning, come May or June? So just early planning. Think about, why is it important? What can you do to help each other? How can we support each other in that? Okay. Any questions before we move into a breakout? Okay. I think we're ready when you are, Jen.
All right, I'm going to open the rooms.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Okay. Does anybody want to share out? And let me say again that this piece of it is not, my expertise. So I did misspeak. This should have been the transition between 3 years old and 4 years old, basically. So like Bill said earlier, kind of from the clinical setting, the first step, what we used to call first step, or now the KEIS system, into preschool. But if your group talked about the other transition, then that's okay too, or any transition. Schooling is full of transitions. So anyway, would anybody like to share?
I'll
My
share.
group,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, my group really were so aware of the transition steps and the planning and how important the planning was from KEIS, or what used to be first steps, to preschool. So we really talked about those steps, and they really have developed good relationships with their KEIS providers. So that has really made that smooth transition a lot easier as they have worked through the years and everything. So, and again, our group, one of the things, and we talked about this during the family engagement and community engagement as well. But one of the things, and we had one new preschool coordinator in our group, and one of the things that really still surprises us is the number of folks who don't know about those early intervention services. And then they show up at kindergarten, like you were talking about, Marcy, and all of a sudden we have to think through those transitions as well. So my group was really strong on the process itself and the relationships that they have with KEIS.
Good. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, who else?
We had just shared that how sometimes that the transition, the turnaround, we talk about planning, but sometimes those opportunities are not provided in a timely manner that we would like. So we just have to work together to make sure. And thankfully, as she was sharing, we have a really good lady that works with us through Keys, that she will work, her best to help meet that. But sometimes it just happens, and our turnaround time is a lot faster than we would, hope to plan for, but we just make it happen.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to, because sometimes the ball either just gets dropped, not intentionally, or certainly nowadays in a post-COVID world, things happen. Illnesses are going to occur, or things will just get forgotten, or technology doesn't work, and so it comes to the point where you have to make it happen. So you do what you need to for the children and for the families. Makes everybody a little harried at times, kind of a little crazy, but the job gets done for sure because the kids are worth it. So yeah, thank you, Jennifer. Anybody else? Okay, let's go ahead and finish up. All right. So when it comes to the annual evaluation for the preschool program itself, we've got a regulation here. The QR code will take you to that regulation. At least annually, parents, staff, and other professionals are involved in evaluating the local preschool program's effectiveness and meeting the needs of the children who do participate. The program evaluation addresses parent satisfaction with services provided. So in a way, it's kind of similar to, the indicator 8 thing that we were talking about a little bit ago. This is more parent satisfaction, whereas 8 is more, did the school involve you, in a meaningful way? But they certainly can go hand in hand. And so again, as you all being one of the first, experiences in schooling with some of our families, that can really help set a positive precedence, and hopefully it just continues from there. For screening and referral, we wanted to touch on these couple of points. Schools shall assist parent or legal guardian as needed through cooperation with existing medical and social services to obtain the physical examination required of all children prior to school enrollment. And parents or legal guardians are contacted if screening results indicate a need for any further assessments. And so that could be, something by a specialist. Again, thinking about when they do end up in K-12, would occupational or physical therapy be involved? Is speech a need? Just think about vision therapists, anything like that. Does there need to be a follow-up or a referral for special education? So again, just that communication with parents, not only are you supposed to help with getting the medical examinations done, but then contact that family if screening results do say, hey, there's a possible need here that we need to address. For parent engagement in the preschool setting specifically, the program allows active parental involvement, consideration of the different types of family structure, such as a single parent, a foster parent, or an extended family household. Those shall be made when planning activities. So again, think outside the box a little bit. What does your region look like? What does your area of the state what are things that you need? What are things that you can provide that those families need? And that can be so regionally specific here in Kentucky. At least the following needs to be made available to parents. Participation as volunteers or observers. The parent helps develop the training, the education, or other activities that you provide. Work with the child in cooperation with the preschool staff to meet regarding the child's individual needs and their progress, and then those periodic visits by preschool staff. I think Bill or Jennifer, somebody, will you remind us, please, what is required as far as home visits are concerned?
Yes, there are 2 home visits that are required each year, typically at the beginning of the school year, and then perhaps near the end of the school year.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Then there's an extra component for the lead teacher. The lead teacher is responsible for at least the following: parent participation within the classroom, parent-teacher conferences, and conducting parental involvement activities, and then coordinating with health and social services in your area. Again, that can be to do some screenings. It can be just to get information out there. As Nancy shared earlier, it's amazing. They get to kindergarten and they report, I didn't know any of these services were available in our community. So continuing to just try to get the word out as much as you can. And so some of that responsibility can and should fall upon the lead teacher. I wanted to just share some strategies to help build good relationships, positive relationships. Learn as much as you can about the family. This is everything from names of the siblings possibly, or names of, the parents certainly, but also what do they call each other within the family? So if you've got, again, a grandparent raising these children, do they go by Mimi? Do they go by Grammy? Are they Glamma? Are they, I don't know. I've got a friend who recently became a grandmother for the first time, and she is Lolly, and her husband is Pop, which is super cute. But then you can use those names as you're talking to the families and talking to the child. What did you and Lolly have for supper last night? So learn as much as you can about the family, about their relationships. Listen carefully to what they're telling you. Take notes if you need to. And it's always okay to say to the family, hey, I'm going to take some notes so that I can remember these things in the future. Then when you're doing the activities with the children, hey, we're going to sit down and we're going to color a picture for Lolly today because Mother's Day is coming up, or, whatever. Choose your words wisely. Be direct, but be honest and be compassionate. And so go ahead. Okay, I wanted to make sure. I can only see my PowerPoint. I can't see the team screen, so I wasn't sure if somebody had something to share. Bill actually is the one who taught me this, and this is such a great rule, and it's something that I feel like most of us know, but we don't always put into practice, or we don't always remember, but that kind of 1 and 3 rule. So for every one negative statement or constructive thing that sometimes we need to say, what 3 positive things can you say, or what 3 positive statements or aspects? What are 3 positive things that you can share with the family? So again, being direct and being honest is important, but being compassionate and being positive just as important. Some extra strategies: communicating frequently and consistently. We've talked quite a bit about that this morning. Document that communication. We know, at least in my world in special education, if it's not written down, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. So definitely work with your teachers to document every communication that they have with parents. And remember, effective communication is a two-way process. It's not enough to just put it out there and hope and pray and wish that your families see that information. Try to encourage ways for them to communicate back with you. Here are lots of resources, and I know you can't access these from the PowerPoint itself, but I know that they're going to put this presentation up, or maybe they already have, onto the SharePoint site for you. So these should all be clickable links for you when you do get access to that. So we've got some things here within OSEAL, some things that are part of our partnerships that we have with various people. The bottom one, the Special Ed Connection website, if you do not have access to that, we have folks who can get you access to that. But that's just a really quick article that they put out, that when there are parent involvement failures, it usually boils down to 2 big errors. One of those is just lack of communication. And so again, putting things out there, as many places as you can. If your school or your education center, if you're partnering with your district, ask them to put that on all of their social media pages. Continue to get that word out. Some extra resources: the Governor's Office of Early Childhood that Thomas actually spoke about when we began our session today. And then we've got a couple of other things here. The WIDA website is not within Kentucky, and the National Center for Families Learning, not within Kentucky, but still fantastic resources for you. Okay, we also wanted to promote this. So we have this new teacher hub that we have put out. We're getting the word out with this within our newsletters, and I think within our News You Can Use. But this is something that we're doing specifically for new teachers to try to support them. And so the QR code can get you to where they can sign up. Please pass this information along to new teachers, new preschool folks in your area. We really would love to get as many teachers involved in this as possible. And then they will be sending out just information, again, to support new teachers as they continue with their career journey. Okay, so here's my contact information. Any questions that you have regarding the Indicator 8 stuff, parent engagement as a whole, I'm your gal for that. If it's really preschool specific, certainly you can still email me, but I'll probably have to pass you over to Tyler or somebody else within the early learning unit to get some support for that. But I'm here to help. I'm very passionate about relationships and engagement. It's just something that to me is huge. So if you don't have relationships, you don't really have much else. So yeah, that's it. Thank you all so much. What questions do you have? Okay, I think we're ready for Jen or Bill, whoever wants to take it over. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Marcy. Any questions for Marcy before we move on? All right, so I'm going to start sharing my screen, but I just want to say I can only see Bill, Tyler, and Marcy. It doesn't look like anybody else is in the meeting with us. But I can hear other people talking when they talk. So that's very strange. So I'm going to share and hope it works. But I just wanted to give you all that. It's very strange. I just look like I'm in the meeting with 3 other people. But I could hear Nancy when she was talking. So I'm not sure what's going on. So let me know if you can't see the screen when I share. There is an issue with content sharing. Something went wrong. Try again later. Oh no. Teams is not being my friend today. So, Bill, do you want to put up the
Let me
PowerPoint? I'm
see if-
sorry.
No worries. Let me see if I can do that. Can you all see?
We can, yes.
Cannot, but I think that's a problem on my end, not yours.
Yeah, I'm pulling up now the question. What can we clarify? Jen, I think you just asked this, right? So we're at a stage place just to see, yeah, what questions that you have based on today's presentation. Okay. If not, in a moment, I'm going to put a link to the evaluation in the chat. Here it is as well on the PowerPoint.
And I've got it to drop in the chat. I don't know if it'll
Okay,
work though.
perfect.
So see if that works. Did you all get that? Okay, perfect. That
Yeah,
part works.
right. And then our next session. The next session will focus on early math. It's scheduled for Friday, August 8th. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We very much appreciate your time. Thank you very much and have a great weekend.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone. Have a
everyone.
great weekend. Thanks, Marcy.
Thank you.
Yeah. See, we still have a few folks with us. Sheila, did you have any questions, or Donna or Sarah? Kristen? Oh, you're on mute. Sheila, you're on mute. That's okay.
I was doing an evaluation. I hadn't signed out. Let me sign
Yeah.
this here because I clicked it before it went off.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.